There is one question I've been asked constantly, non-stop, every single day for the past year, and that question is, what happened in Michigan? As you may know, this so-called Michigan event has been referenced countless times on the Goobers channel, in my videos, in my friends' videos. It's become a meme, a legend, a phrase you guys spam in the comments every single day. But here's the thing, this phrase has gotten so unbelievably popular, it's reached the point where I can't run from it anymore. You guys want the truth, and honestly, you deserve the truth. So today, after a full year of mystery, jokes, and theories, I'm going to finally reveal the real lore of the Michigan incident, the true story of what happened to me, xDemon, in Michigan, and I swear you are not ready for this. So it all started a few years ago. I think like maybe 2022, 2023. I don't know. I'm a YouTuber and I have bad concept of time. It comes with the job.
Like and subscribe.
But I was on this road trip with Stud, right? Now, me and Stud actually travel a lot together. We have gone on a road trip up the entire east coast of the US, the entire west coast of the US. We basically road trip through the entire United States, along with other countries like Japan and Europe. But this road trip was probably the creepiest of all of them because we were driving through Michigan. And now look, everyone online always jokes about Ohio being cursed, but nah, Michigan is worse. The second we crossed the state line, bro, I felt it. The sky got darker, my phone battery dropped like 40% for no reason, GPS started glitching like crazy. It was like the Spectre himself from Forsaken was already watching me. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that actually didn't happen. It wasn't that dramatic. We did come across a lot of problems on this road trip though, like finding bear tracks, Stud almost driving off the road because he was too tired. And speaking of tired, this road trip actually took so long that when we officially entered the state of Michigan, it was so dark outside. It was genuinely creepy. And I remember at one point we actually were running low on gas and we ended up pulling into this sketchy gas station. You know the type. It looks abandoned, straight out of a horror movie, where it looked like absolutely no one lived in the area, but there was somehow always that one old guy behind the counter who just knows things he shouldn't know. I literally walked in to grab a drink and dude just stares at me, doesn't blink, doesn't say a word. But then finally he goes, "You're not around from here, are you? Be careful. They don't like outsiders in Michigan." And I was like, what the f? But you know, I laughed it off. I thought he was joking, but nah, he wasn't joking. Because finally, after we finally refueled the car at that gas station and finally got back on the road, everything just started getting weird. We drove deeper into Michigan and it's just empty. No cars, no people, just trees, miles and miles of trees. But then I see it. Something moving in the woods. Too tall to be human. Too fast to be an animal. It was just pacing us through the trees, like it was waiting. And chat, keep in mind, we are in a vehicle going over 45 miles per hour. And there was some dark, mysterious figure I could barely see within the tree line somehow keeping up with us. But then the sound started. First, it was like whispers. Then it was screams. Then it was chanting. It sounded like my name. I swear I could hear them saying, xDemon, xDemon. Like they knew me before I even existed. But that also might be part of me being schizophrenic. So, you know, I hear voices all the time to begin with, but I'm gonna blame it on Michigan. I'm gonna blame it on Michigan. But eventually, night falls. It's about maybe 10, 11 p.m. by this point, and we entered this old abandoned town, like straight out of Silent Hill. Half the houses were run down, half of them were boarded up, street lights flickering, and right in the middle of the town, there's this massive church. Doors wide open, and inside, I swear, it looked like a cult had just left. Candles everywhere, graffiti across the walls, and written on those walls in red paint, or maybe it wasn't paint, were the words, "Welcome to Michigan." And at this point, I'm like, nah bro, I'm done, let's leave. But the car, dead. No signal, no help, just me and Stud stuck in this nightmare Michigan town. And like I said, chat, me and Stud have been on countless road trips before, countless trips overall, but this one was probably where everything possibly bad went bad. And I mean, at this point, the car is dead. Our phones are below 10%. We have no idea where we're at. And like I said, it was just only getting later and later into the night. And with nowhere else to go, you know, I decided to just walk back into that church. You know, it's just better than standing out in the wilderness of Michigan. You know, you have no idea what's lurking out there. Like, if anything, the deer monster from 99 Nights in the Forest could have been there watching me with how creepy it was. But chat, when I walked back into that church, that's when it happens. The air just... It dropped, like freezing cold. But you know, since those candles were there, and I didn't want to freeze to death, I decided to light them myself. But then from the shadows of the candles flickering, it looked like there was figures watching me. Like hooded, faceless figures. And I swear I started hearing voices again, talking about, we've been waiting for you. The fire belongs to you. You belong to Michigan. Like I had no idea what was going on. And then suddenly, the ground starts shaking. The floor splits open, and I see it. A massive pit of fire underneath the church. Okay, well, the floor didn't actually split open. It's just the shadows from the fire was making everything look like it was. And I could have sworn those shadowy figures that were being lit up on the wall from the candles were trying to get closer to me too. But chat, I'm not gonna lie, things were getting intense, okay? Our car was dead, no signal to my already dying phone. And all I could feel was the stress and anxiety, or how I was even going to get out of this situation to begin with. But then, as weird as everything started to get, it only gets weirder from there, because after that, I don't really remember anything else. I don't know how long I was out, but all I remember is that I woke up back in the car, keys in the ignition, full tank of gas, like nothing ever happened. We were back on the road, like nothing even happened to either of us to begin with. And eventually, we got to our hotel where we stayed the night. And in the next morning, me and Stud left to do some exploring. We explored the sandy beaches of Michigan, walked through some cool wilderness paths, tried to find bears, and eventually, once we drive out of Michigan, and the second we cross the state line, boom, sky clears, phone battery full, GPS working. Like Michigan itself just let me go. But I guess it didn't let me go empty-handed, because ever since then, everything's been different. My powers, my fire, my whole demon thing, it all traces back to Michigan. That cursed town, that pit of fire, the voices I was hearing. I don't know if it was real. I don't know if it was a dream, but everything I can remember is still with me. And no matter where I go, no matter what I do, Michigan just seems to follow me. And now, when you guys spam in the chat about Michigan lore, what happened in Michigan, tell us about what happened in Michigan, that's not just a meme, that's the truth. And maybe one day, I'll have to go back. Alright, but I'm just joking. Yeah, none of that actually happened. Basically, me instead with the Michigan, he almost crashed his car. I ate a weird substance that made me completely freak out and feel like reality wasn't real. And then at the end of the night, when me and Stud got to our hotel room, they messed up our reservation and gave us a room with only one bed, and me and Stud slept in the same bed together.
Take him to Detroit.
No! No, not Detroit! No! No!